All right, welcome back to Deep Dive with Dr. Fitz. I'm your host, Dr. Sean Fitzpatrick, Superintendent of Schools here in the Schuylkill Haven Area School District. And we are so pumped to bring you Season 3, our opening episode of Deep Dive. And by the way, I realize right now that you all have these beautifully painted toenails. It's good that I have my shoes on. You wouldn't want to see my toenails. But I'm surrounded by not just these lovely ladies, but these very talented educators. And I'm going to take a moment to let them introduce themselves. Let's start all the way to the right. Mrs. Heffner, we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Janine Heffner, and I am the Title I coordinator at the Schuylkill Haven Elementary Center. This is my third year in that position, and I work with the students in grades kindergarten through second grade, and I also head up the Hero Success Team, which is our program that we help students who are struggling a little bit in their academics or other areas to have success in those areas.
Love the Hero Success Team. Mrs. Bensinger.
Hi, I'm Francine Bensinger, and I am a reading and math Title I teacher for grades kindergarten, first and second.
Okay.
I'm Caitlin Delenick, and I'm K-2 Title I reading and math.
I'm Jess Fryer, and I am Title I kindergarten through second for reading and math. I'm also the ESL teacher in the elementary center for grades K-4.
Awesome. So I think we did some of the math. 93 years of teaching experience between the four of you. You don't look a day over 90, I promise. So I'm excited. This our goal this school year, especially with Deep Dive, is to spotlight teachers, great educators, the people behind the scenes in the trenches with our kids and our students each and every day. And no one more important than our Title I folks and the work that you do. So let's get right into it. We have 93 years experience, and I know a ton of great stories. But I have to say, this was the most fun pregame we've ever had. I think it took us 10 minutes just to adjust your chair heights, especially yours.
Mine,
Yeah, we got to get your feet on the ground a little bit there. And then you were afraid you were shorter than Mrs. Bensinger. We've got it all worked out now. So for those of you watching on YouTube, you're a little more privy to the information. So let's start with first question. We'll go with Mrs. Delenick on this one. Listeners that are tuning in, they may not be familiar. How do you explain the role of a Title I teacher in both reading and math?
So a Title I teacher is a teacher who gives extra help and supports to a student who needs it. We work with students in small group, anywhere from 2 to 5 students at a time. We work in reading with things like sounding out words, understanding what they read, and helping really build their confidence. In math, we work on a lot of number sense, problem solving, and fact fluency. Our job is not only to give them that extra boost in academic skills, but also that extra boost in confidence and have them know that they can do it and they are 100% capable.
Good. And I don't think folks realize you're not just there for the students, you're there for the teachers too, and we'll get into some of that when we get deeper into our conversation. Mrs. Heffner, some of the biggest challenges that our early learners face when it comes to reading and math. Let's talk about that primary age right now.
Yeah, and I think Mrs. Delenick kind of touched upon that in her answer, but I think we've all talked about it's the confidence. Yeah. Students who are struggling in academics, any area, but especially reading and math, tend to lack the confidence. So I think as a Title I teacher, we try to really build that confidence, build on what they know, and encourage them along the way and watch their success grow and grow more throughout the year.
Would you agree, as a parent of a young child, they're coming into school, one of the best things you can do is read to your kids, talk to your kids, because we talk so much about how much vocabulary child A is exposed to versus child B.
Absolutely.
Are we having those rich conversations with the kids?
Yeah.
Have you seen a difference in your
absolutely.
career?
I think the more you can expose your child to, the more you can speak to them. Yeah. That's huge, especially the younger they are. And I remember this stuck out to me that, young children can handle big vocabulary. Yeah. So instead of saying, look at that flower, say, look at that hyacinth, or look at that black-eyed Susan. They can handle those big words, and that just helps them so much as they, continue in their reading career.
As you can see, we are in a school, so we do have some announcements going on behind us. But I love that. Very specific. Be more specific when you're talking to your kids. So great tip for parents. All right, Mrs. Fryer, let's go over to you. How do you work with those classroom teachers to support that student success?
So we all work closely with the classroom teachers. We have to do all the beginning of the year testing, which is what we're doing right now. Then the teachers put all their information on those data sheets, and we work together to finalize what students we will be working with. But then we also go into parent-teacher conferences with all of the teachers so that they can see that we're a team and we're working together to better help their student.
Yeah, by the way, isn't it great having a Fryer on the team? You know, there's Moyers, Boyers, Stoyers all over, but the Fryer name's a very, very popular name down here in Schuylkill Haven. We love having you on our team.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. And let's wrap up with Mrs. Bensinger with this question as we move out of our teaching in Title I focus. Share a favorite strategy or activity that you have found that really has helped our young learners.
This was a difficult one to narrow down. I'll start off by saying Mrs. Heffner and I share a room, so we have the unique ability to come up with some co-taught lessons, and we tend to do a lot of songs and jingles and chants to help our students remember different specific rules for decoding words. And we also come up with reading challenges and math challenges among our two groups of students if they're in the room at the same time. So the students there's a little bit of friendly competition, so that helps them to stay engaged. But I just think, too, anything that you can do to engage your learners, and I feel we do a great job of doing that. Something as simple, too, as one activity that my students love is reading tic-tac-toe. It's so simple. I just put a tic-tac-toe board up on the smart board, and I write words in it, and they pick a number out of the tic-tac-toe square grid, and they just have to read the word. And they don't even realize that they're learning and they're blending and they're using the skills to read. So keep them engaged. There's so many activities, but lots of jingles, lots of chants, lots of songs to help them learn.
Kind of tied into our professional development at the start of the school year with our total experience learning and trying to get kids engaged. I've never walked past the Title I room that your kids weren't engaged. And again, you come back to small groups, and we talked a little earlier, 2 to 5 students generally in those small groups. But I love the engagement piece. I love the musical tie and the chants and all that is it just makes reading fun. So, all right, let's get back into experience and growth. And I'm going to kind of swing it over this way because you've watched the transition in learning for many years, and we've seen programs come and go, and we've talked more in depth this summer than ever, and even the last 2 years about the science of reading and where we're heading. And I know as a building, the curriculum is being looked at. We're working diligently across K-2 this year to implement some new reading curriculum. But aside from all of that and all these years that you've been around these students, specifically through your support in Title I, what has changed? Let's start with Mrs. Heffner on this one. What has changed that you think is maybe a change for the better even?
Well, I think this is, I would say, I believe if I'm correct, it's about my 15th year in Title I. And I honestly think every year as a Title I staff, we look to see, what are the best practices in reading and in math. And as you mentioned, the science of reading is definitely what the research shows. Yeah. And so certainly we look at that very heavily, and then we adapt and we adjust our curriculum to meet those needs. So, we are implementing an Orton-Gillingham methodology, which is certainly science of reading based, as well as UFly. There's Wilson trained teachers as well. We have some of that. So I think, the shift that I see is that, whatever is current best practices, that's what we are doing in our Title I. And, there's always, everyone on the team has always been, very excited about, doing new trainings, learning new. When we know better, we do better, right? So that's kind of our philosophy in Title I.
I love that. And I think it's fair to say that which is measured has the chance to improve. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I will say, and I know it's not fun, but you collect a lot of data. And maybe Mrs. Bensinger, if you want to just expand on what the last couple of weeks looks like for all of you, because this is where we establish that baseline and collect that data.
Sure. We begin our testing for all students in the school, in the elementary school, K-4. We take all the data from our reading tests and our math tests, and we will input it into a data drive. And then what we will do is look at every single individual student to see where students might have gaps, where there's deficits, and what can we do to form groups so that we can take these students who have deficits and use that data to drive our instruction to help close that gap so that the students can be more successful in school. So we test every student in the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year, and we collect all that data, and then we analyze it.
And our goal, I think, as a district is that data now follows the student through the middle school, through the high school, so that we're giving our teachers at the next level, the middle level in this instance, information going into it to say, this is what I know this student needs. By the way, I'm completely ad-libbing from the script. I'm so sorry. That was not one of the questions that she was prepared to answer. But I think it is important for our listeners to know that, because you're doing great work. And you know, again, I say all the time, if you truly want to improve, you need to measure, you know, and we measure that growth. We use IXL right now as one of our data tools that we use. But I think collecting that and then watching, as you said, where are those specific gaps? It's almost like saying, I'm just going to go to the doctor with a broken arm, but you're at an optometrist. Well, you're in the wrong place. That did happen to me, by the way, once. I had a secretary set up an appointment for me to go to the doctor for a hangnail, an ingrown toenail, and I was at an eye doctor. So, again, having that data, collecting the right data, getting the right, as you mentioned, resources in place for those kids is important. So you probably didn't need any hangnail information there. I can see that your nails are professionally.
That's why you have your shoes on.
Yes, that's why I keep my shoes on here on Deep Dive with Dr. Fitz. All right, let's go back to, let's see, favorite strategy or activity that really helps a young learner build confidence. Any one of you have a favorite strategy that you want to share, that maybe it's something that a parent could even do at home that you think, try this tonight, and it could work for you. Anybody want to jump in on that one?
I'll go because they know this is my favorite. I absolutely love doing a blending drill for reading because it's essentially setting up a pile of cards with letters for beginning sound, middle sound, and ending sound. And then we go through and we identify the sound of each letter and we blend them together. And it's super fun because the kiddos see their success. And it's also really nice because as soon as there's an error, you can easily correct it and reteach and review that skill and then go on and practice it more.
Perfect. All right. Make note of that at home. All right, let's get back to my experience and growth questions. We were talking off the air about a teacher that you felt inspired your work, and you worked with some years back. Give some advice to a brand new teacher. What would that advice be? And I'll turn to my two over here for this one, and maybe somehow tie in a Pazonki egg.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know what? One word that I think of is grace. You know, you need to give grace to your students when they're not grasping a concept. You need to give grace to yourself when maybe you're not getting something across to your students. You need to give grace to your coworkers who, maybe don't understand, why you're doing certain things or grace.
Yeah.
We all need grace, and you don't know what somebody's coming in with that day, including yourself, and I think sometimes as an educator, you're your hardest on yourself for, everything. We can't be responsible for everything that happens all day long. So I think just giving grace.
Great advice. Anything else?
I agree with Janine. In our pre-service years of teaching, one thing that we always had to do was reflect upon our lessons. Like that was a given thing you had to do. And I think we are our hardest critics. Yeah. So I feel like for a new teacher, you need to breathe. It's going to be okay. And I think you need to understand that you're not going to have the perfect lesson that's in a textbook because so many things will come into play. Just different things happen. And it's okay. You, as a brand new teacher, will learn to grow in your teaching abilities, just like your students grow in their abilities to learn. So breathe. Be relaxed. Be flexible. Be very flexible because anything can happen at any given moment. You could have.
I love it.
And have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like everything can't be so heavy all the time. Sometimes you just have to laugh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with that statement.
And the students need to see that you're human. And you can make mistakes and you laugh and you're not just this person.
Don't be so serious, right?
Yeah, don't take ourselves so seriously, right? If anything, I think I've set that example for us rather well. Real quick, give a shout out. You mentioned a teacher that was a veteran that you loved and was inspirational to you. What was that name off the air?
Miss Marge Valinsky. So if you're listening, Marge, she was here, Title I, when I was in 4th grade, and she have the best laugh? She still does.
Yeah.
And made Pizonki eggs and everything.
Yes.
I know. Miss Dr. Fitzpatrick wanted to hear about the Pizonki eggs. Maybe we'll get him one this year.
Yeah, I'm
We'll
looking
work
forward
on
to it.
that.
Well, good. Just know you were an inspiration to these great teachers. All right, let's go back to our PBIS. Somebody says, what's PBIS? Mrs. Fryer, what's PBIS stand for? Do you know? Positive
Yes,
behavior
intervention.
Intervention, and what's the S?
Why can't I
System?
think of it?
Supports.
Supports.
Thank
Supports,
you,
good.
Mrs. Delenick.
All I know
Went
is
out of my brain.
I love what you ladies are doing over there. Even as Title I folks, you're directly involved with the positive behavior piece of the entire building. Let's start with, honestly, either one of you. How do you contribute to that program, and how does that work connect with your students in Title I?
So actually a PBIS program and Title I, they go hands in hand, really. They all have like a shared goal. With our PBIS program, it's those positive behaviors. And then that carries over to us in our small groups that those students come with us. They already have those behaviors and expectations set in place, and we can just continue working with them. And it's so nice because it travels. Our PBIS expectations travel from room, to hallway, to cafeteria, to specials, to playground, to buses. And it kind of all just goes together. And it really works on giving that extra support that's needed. The PBIS might be the extra support for those behaviors, and Title I is those extra supports for those academics. And it just fosters that positive, collaborative school system we have going.
Good. Mrs. Fryer, why do you think PBIS is important in our elementary center?
I agree with what Mrs. Delenick said as well. It goes across all classrooms, so the students know what to expect even when they're in our classroom, as she said, all around the school. As a parent as well, I have children in the district, and it just feels so welcoming and safe and great for the students. They're all very excited about PBIS, all of the celebrations that we do, like
Sorry
the one
about that.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great program.
Yeah. So it's expanding, and Mrs. Gerlot's on the announcements right now. Give her a second. Picture day, by the way, as we're recording this. So she's calling kids to get their picture taken. The PBIS piece is growing in our district. It's now a K-12 program, which is unbelievable to me. I could not be prouder to walk into a high school cafeteria, dead silent. The kids are waiting to hear, Mr. Wortman or Mrs. McGinty or Mr. Sickett read off names at the high school level. Mm-hmm. And that's just a tribute. Last week I saw our middle schoolers outside, tug of war with their teachers and earning privileges by doing great things as students and learning right from wrong at a young age. So I'm very proud of the work that you're all doing with PBIS. So please don't ever lose sight of that. And I will tell you, I have seen it work at the corporate level. I remember years and years ago, my own father coming home from work. He worked over at Cresona Aluminum when it was Alcoa, Cresona Aluminum, that era, and earning a new jacket or something for safety or attendance, or they had ways to reward their employees. And let me tell you, my dad was at that time in his life 55 years old and appreciated that the company was looking out for their safety and appreciated, so it does work, and I'm so proud of the work that you're all doing to tie that in to your Title I. All right, let's end this with some fun. A little personal touch. Let's go right down the line. I'm going to start at the end on this one. Mrs. Heffner, one thing your students might be surprised to learn about you.
I mean, they might not be that surprised, but maybe they will be. But I'm pretty into pickleball. I'm just saying. I just got new sneakers. I look for new paddles. I will play anytime, anywhere, pretty much anyone. So
She means she's obsessed with pickleball.
I mean, yeah. And so if any student or parent, for that matter, wants to play pickleball, come see me.
Yeah, and you're not gonna go easy on them either. I could picture you.
I'm
You're
really
gonna
not.
You're gonna take it down.
I played against her, and
She's all business.
and it's all business, and
Yeah.
she is a wicked hit. So, yeah.
So, all right, Mrs. Bensinger, one thing that let's just say we might all be surprised, your students would be surprised to learn about you.
I think they would be surprised that I like to take risks. I am a risk taker.
Wow.
I like to try new things, whether it be zip lining or I don't know,
We love to hear Mrs. Bensinger's stories. I'm just saying.
Actually, no, I
On
get extremely
vacation.
anxious about her vacation
Yeah.
stories.
Seriously, does some pretty risky
I
things.
do like to see what's out there in the world. I like to explore.
Good.
I love adventure.
I
and I
love
love
it.
the Phillies and the Eagles. Of
And the
course,
Eagles.
Yes.
And
so.
you may not be able to see this on camera. That is an Eagles tie. We're filming this the day of Thursday Night Football. All right, Mrs. Delenick, one example of something your students may be surprised to learn about you.
I obviously can't say I'm a Swiftie because they all know this.
Yes.
But all of my best friends are 10 and under, so they know a lot about me. But I do love to read, and so far this year I've read 40 books, and my goal is 46 by the end of the year. So we'll see if we get
46.
there.
Wow.
She can do it.
I believe in you. And if you don't, you have to zip line with her.
No, thank you. No, thank
And if you only get
I'm
to-
not taking
yeah.
I'll
that
play
trip.
pickleball
or play
against you.
pickleball
Yeah.
against her.
I feel like that would be dangerous.
Yeah.
I would get injured.
Wow. Mrs. Fryer, one thing your students might be surprised to learn about you.
I think they would be surprised that I never played soccer before in my life because I'm married
Yeah.
into the soccer
You-
family.
yeah.
So my kids play soccer. I've coached soccer with the little ones,
Yeah.
3 and 4 year olds, and they see me at soccer games on the weekend in the concession stand. It's soccer, 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 but
Yeah.
I have a confession. I've never played before.
Well,
So-
that is a surprising
Yeah.
statistic. Have you ever played pickleball?
I've never played pickleball.
Wow.
Don't play against
No, don't play against.
You might have a
going to
bonding
You could be in
experience.
trouble. All right, we'll start with Mrs. Bensinger on this one. If you had to describe your teaching style in just 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
In just 3 words, I would describe my teaching style as creative, compassionate. I really do have a heart for the students, and I do worry about them.
Yeah.
And what was my other one? Creative, caring,
And compassionate. then.
And compassionate.
All the C's. So you
All
went
the
with the 3
C's.
C's.
3 C's,
And
yep.
I had 4 fingers up, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I might need some math help afterwards. But so
can-
3.
And
yeah.
cheerleader.
I can
was
help you
a
with that.
cheerleader. I will be my students' cheerleader.
Yeah.
I like to motivate.
So that
them.
is 4 C's.
Yes,
that gives me the 4th C
C.
then.
Yeah.
So we had caring, compassionate, cheerleading, and I missed one along the way, but that's great. And I know you are all of those things. Outstanding. Good. How about you?
I would say I'm structured, I'm encouraging, and I'm energetic. Mrs. Bensinger likes to refer to me as a Jack Russell Terrier.
Yes, I coined her the name Jack Russell.
We call her Jackie sometimes.
Jackie. All right, Jackie. Good. Those are great traits, though. Mrs. Fryer, how about you?
My 3 words that I chose were compassionate as well, empowering, and flexible, because I feel like in our positions, we really need to be flexible.
Yes, you do, but I love the word empowering. For a student that's in Title I, to empower that student, they need that confidence. They need that bravery. I love that word. That's great. All right, good. Did we get everybody? No, we didn't get you yet.
Yeah,
3 words.
so I was going with the E's. I was with the letter
Oh,
E.
okay.
So, but no, seriously, encouraging. We
Yes.
talked about that before. I like to encourage the students. I feel I'm enthusiastic. Like I said, Mrs. Bensinger and I like to bring the enthusiasm together. And, sometimes the Leprechaun Sisters come out at St. Patrick's Day. That's a whole other thing. And engaging.
Yeah.
I think the kids need to be engaged in order, to be into the lesson. And so
I
yeah.
couldn't agree more. Engagement is critical, especially a kid like me. When I was young, oh my goodness, I couldn't sit still to save my life. I needed to be engaged in the learning. All right, good. What else we want to talk about here? Let's see. After so many years of teaching, what still brings you the most joy when you walk into school each day? Mrs. Delenick, we'll start with you. What brings you the most joy?
I have morning duty this year, so it's nice when the kids come in and they're so excited to see you, or you're walking in the hallway and all they want to do is give you a little hello, because we don't call out in the hallway
Yeah.
because of PBIS. Just because that lets me know that they know that I'm a cheerleader for them. I support them. I encourage them. They know I'm a safe person, and I'm there to help them any way I can.
And you're, quite frankly, the first person they see when they walk in that door can make a big difference in the way their day starts. I say it honestly. I say it to our bus drivers all the time. You make a bigger difference than anyone in how that child's day, because we don't, like you mentioned earlier, we don't know what they're bringing, what baggage, and what they've been through that morning or the night prior. And so, great. I love hearing that. All right, Mrs. Fryer, what still brings you the most joy when you walk into school each day?
I have to kind of say what Mrs. Delenick did as well. Definitely the students. It's so exciting to see them and they're yelling your name or they're stopping in your classroom in the morning just to say good morning. Or sometimes they're walking past and I'll see them like looking in to see if I'm in there and they'll be like, Mrs. Fryer, and then they do their little wave. So it's definitely seeing how excited they are, especially when they come with us for Title I time. They are so excited to come with us to our classroom. So that's the best part.
I can tell you that we are very blessed to work in a business that the secret sauce to happiness truly is be around kids. I unfortunately have another part of my job that I have to, try to balance a $27 million budget throughout the course of the day, but nothing brings me more joy than walking over to the elementary center or even the middle school. There's still kids at heart to me. And of course, with my office stationed in the high school, I see the high school kids all the time, but I love coming over there. And even when the elementary kids recognize who I am, I love that just as much because they do. They bring a certain sense of joy and the difference we can make in their lives. All right, what still brings you the most joy down at the end there?
Yeah, so of course, the kids, seeing them year after year. But, honestly, this is my 28th year at Schuylkill Haven. And I will say, and I know this is cliche, and I know we hear it over and over, but Haven really is a family, and I think the staff, the friendly faces, I just think our school district really promotes the family atmosphere and a caring environment. And just to know that you're going into that, I feel like, your coworkers have your back, and yeah, it's a great feeling to work in that kind of environment. I don't think everybody understands that, and I think people who come to our district get it. So I appreciate that year after year.
I love hearing you say that too, because I feel the same way. I feel just so fortunate to be around great people that do look out for each other. It's what we do. Mrs. Bensinger, what brings you joy in the morning when you walk in?
Joy in the morning.
Yes. Me, isn't it?
Yes. No, it is. I mean,
when you zip line to work.
Yes, when I zip line or bike to work. Or no. Mrs. Heffner and I got hired the same year, so we do have a very strong connection, and that is very nice. But as far as the joy goes with the students, I just love when you have a student or a group of students and they come into your room and they're just defeated because they're frustrated or they can't read. And then you see over time when taking that data and knowing what skills they need, and we have the opportunity to do that and being able to teach them and see their confidence grow. So you have a student who really now, I can do this, and they get excited because they can do this. That gives me joy. And also seeing some former students, such as Jim Hale, that I taught way back when. That's kind of neat, too, to see some students that I've taught come full circle to become teachers as well.
And it's really coming full circle these days. The older we get, the more and more kids we're seeing their kids. It's fun.
All right. So last call to any student who wants to get their picture taken. Mrs. Gerlot's calling them to the gym bound. Did you get your picture taken yet this year? Monday's elementary picture day. So today's elementary picture day, not elementary picture day, today's picture day in the high school. So it's a big day. High school kids, this is the one day where they kind of do dress up a little nicer, do their hair a little longer, and they look great. So this has been wonderful. Our goal, and Mr. Hale and I actually talked about it this summer, I said I want our very first guests in Season 3 to be our Title I folks because so much value in what you do each and every day. And I think you probably feel the same way. I know I often think to myself, what would we do without you? Like, what would we do if we didn't? What would our teachers do if they didn't have that extra support for that handful of kids? I was one of those kids. And we had this story yesterday, we shared a little bit. When I was an elementary student, the Title I specialist was out in a van. In a van down by the river. Not that van, but a different van. The Title I reading specialist was in like a van, an RV, that you walked out of the building and you walked into that RV. And to this day, I still appreciate the help that she gave me to teach, because it was hard for me to comprehend what I was reading. So I want you to hear that from a former, I don't know if they even called it Title I back then, but a reading specialist was an absolute godsend to me as a little hyperactive child, and I can't thank you enough for what you do for our kids. So
Thank you.
keep it up.
Thank you.
We're going to have a great year. We're going to have a fun year. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And please, those of you watching at home, remember, we have our own YouTube channel now. It's called Deep Dive with Dr. Fitz. You can check us out on Spotify now. So if you want to listen as you're driving around, share this. Make sure you get the word out that we've got great people like this working with all the students in our elementary center over there in the Schuylkill Haven Elementary Center. We're just so proud of all of you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
having
watching
us.
and listening at home. And remember, make those positives so loud that the negatives are impossible to hear.